Alright, Babs, listen, this one's a bit late. Don't know if the algorithm's going to pick it up. But today we are going to do the next installment in my recurring video series called Can My Sim Survive? In this series, we review each Sims 4 pack using a predetermined set of criteria to determine whether or not my sim can live a fulfilling virtual life using only the items that are included in the pack. For each new video, I create a new build using only the objects from a given pack, the review pack, and base game when needed. The overall goal here is for us to take an objective look at the build by objects from each pack to see if we're getting our money's worth, and also kind of get a better gauge from pack to pack what's really being included and how the development team prioritizes build by versus gameplay versus maybe not including enough in a pack. So as we are getting started, I'm going to put the criteria that we use for each one of these videos up here. Obviously, you saw the title of this video and you've seen a little bit of the build behind me thus far, but today we are creating a theater build for Copperdale. I really love community lots, and so much of this pack, the objects that come with this pack are kind of split up between objects that make sense for a high school and objects that work for a teen's bedroom. Now, I will say that the trailer, although misleading in some ways, was not misleading in this way. It was very obvious that those were the two primary focuses of this pack. So I was curious to see what I could do with the included objects beyond their intended use. I know that's a little bit of a strange way to kind of approach this, but for me, again, the idea of this series is being objective from pack to pack and seeing if I buy one expansion pack, am I getting the same thing that I got with the last expansion pack? Does my $39.99 USD stretch as far with this pack as it did with the last? What can we really do with this beyond kind of just making some really heavily stylized teenage bedrooms? Which, here's the other thing. I don't know about y'all, but my bedroom did not look like that in high school. I know a certain amount of The Sims is all about the fantasy, right? And creating your dream life or creating like fantastical situations for Sims. But I'm just saying, another key element that I was trying to explore here was really the boundaries for how far you can take the Art Deco style with this pack, because I feel like the development team and the game changers and really all the kind of conversations around this pack really leaned heavily into its Art Deco style. And I don't know, I think, yes, okay, obviously there is a Art Deco element to some of the build by objects, and there is an Art Deco element to some of the objects specifically for the high school. That being said, Art Deco is not really an art style that The Sims 4 has explored before, and the issue that I ran into as I was working on this is just that there's really not a lot of complementary items beyond what's included in this pack. And so, of course, I was only using base game in high school years here, but I was looking through all of the packs as I was building this to see if there was something that I was missing, or to see if like maybe there were some complementary packs that would work well to execute this Art Deco style. And I don't know, I didn't really find it. And so, I think it's kind of interesting that expansion packs and game packs with werewolves and Eagle Lifestyle and things like that. Eagle Lifestyle was an expansion pack. But anyway, I think that it's great that each pack has a very unique look and feel to it. And of course, this helps us expand the stylistic possibilities and what we can do and build by. That being said, when these packs are created without base game in mind, I think that there's oversight in terms of really how far you can push a particular style. I'm not sure if I'm making this point well enough. What I'm trying to say is, within high school years, there are a couple of wall sculptures, there are a couple of fences, there are a couple of paints that allow you to create something that looks adjacent to an Art Deco style build. And of course, we have rounded walls now, sort of. But there are so many elements I think they could have explored further if Art Deco was really something that they wanted to implement in The Sims 4. If we had vertical lighting strips, if we had different panels that could be used as wall sculptures to create different types of shapes on the walls. I think if we had rounded awnings, that might be really cool, or sort of like oval shapes, or just, I think that there is a certain geometric quality to the Art Deco style in general that's just not captured here in this pack. And that's something that I think I've been running into a lot with this review series, is that When The Sims 4 really hones in on a specific style for a pack, like Sulani in Island Living, or even the Werewolves game pack, and this one as well, when they really hone in on one specific style, it really limits what you can do with using those items, because there aren't other items within the full suite of objects that complement it. Beyond that, beyond just the stylistic influences, we have a couple different styles in this pack. I think that if I remember right, there's 4 different sort of styles that they kind of approach through the lens of a teen bedroom. So we have the Art Deco, we have boho, we have a gamer style, and something I'm forgetting. Okay, so we have like Art Deco, we have boho, gamer, and then I guess this like kind of contemporary luxe family sort of home. All right, yeah, listen, we'll go with that. Okay, so those are the 4-ish styles that they really leaned into with this pack beyond just the sort of Art Deco exterior elements. But here's the thing, because they were so heavy into creating these teen bedrooms, a lot of other spaces are lacking. Essentially, anything that you don't need in a high school or a bedroom is not included in this pack. We have a really great collection of dressers. We have a great collection of new beds, which is really welcome. There are even some bathroom objects as well, which I was happy to see, but we have no kitchen objects. So like that's something. It's interesting because we'll see the score at the end of this video, but so far out of the packs that I've reviewed, this pack has the most number of items. It has the most number of objects in build and buy than the other packs I've done so far. And I think that that's really worth noting. It's just, you can't really make a whole house with it. And I think that that's kind of surprising, right? Because that's really the whole gig here. That's the whole game we're playing here, is a virtual dollhouse. When we think about stuff packs and we think about game packs and even kits, there's not really an expectation that you can create an entire house using only those, right? But with an expansion pack, I feel like I should be able to spend $40 and make a completely new house, a completely different styled house than I've been able to make before in The Sims 4. And so from that perspective, the choice to really hone in on high school items and bedrooms is interesting to me, and I think that it's a little bit of a shift from how expansion packs have been treated in the past, at least to my knowledge. That also made creating a build like this kind of interesting. So, okay, we'll put houses aside for a second. Let's talk about creating a community lot, an Art Deco community lot. The build that we're working on today is a theater build, but technically within the game, it's considered a lounge, since theater isn't a lot type. So in a lounge, you have to have, let me look at this build here. You have to have a bar, an instrument, a microphone, a couple different types of chairs, and I know I'm forgetting some things, but most importantly, and kind of where the holdup was for me, is that you have to have a love seat. I don't know the last time you checked love seats in the Sims 4 base game, but they're pretty limited, and in the High School Years pack, they're very stylized. And so throughout this build, I don't even know how long I've talked at this point, but throughout this build, you may have seen a sort of like pale blue sofa that was just sitting around for a little bit because I needed to figure out how to use a sofa in this build. But that just didn't match literally anything else that I was doing. Another thing that we haven't talked about is the colors in this pack. Very irritating. I love the colors that came with this pack. I think it's really interesting and wonderful that we have this new wave of kind of like pastel colors in so many different objects in The Sims 4. That being said, nothing else looks like them. What are we supposed to do with these objects? I really, really wish that the Sims 4 team had a sort of like base color palette that they always implemented in their expansion packs, even if it's just a handful of wood tones, a handful of primary colors, and then they expanded from there. Can you imagine if every object that we got in every pack had uniform universal swatches, and then each pack explored a different color palette that complemented that or expanded that or whatever? And so rather than me trying to figure out what the hell to do with a pale blue love seat, I could use that same love seat and say, okay, I may not be able to use this really pretty pale blue variation, but there's at least a white one. There's at least a, warm taupe color. And I don't think that that means that packs shouldn't explore new styles and new color palettes and bring different types of architecture and interior design to the game, because I think that that's partly the point in creating this DLC. I just think that there's a way to do it that doesn't completely negate everything else that's been done before, that doesn't completely separate this pack from everything else that's ever been released before. I get it. We all know the color wheel is not coming. It's okay. We have mourned it. She's gone. No problem. I just think that there could be a more consistent strategy from pack to pack, from base game up, that guarantees if I have base game and one pack, that both of those packs are going to work well together. I shouldn't have to buy 3, 4, 5 packs just to have a group of objects that look nice together. I've talked about this for the whole video. I get it. I know. I'm sorry. But I do think it's the point. That's the point of this series for me. I'm a builder, and that's the way that I really look at these Sims 4 launches first. I'm going to tell y'all something. So the way that I film these as of right now is that I create the speed build, I export the speed build, and then I watch it back and comment on it. This speed build finished, I'm going to say about 15 minutes ago, and I'm still talking. So I don't know how I'm going to edit this down. Oh my God, and everything I just said has not been recording. Fuck me. 1, 2, 3. So here's what I'm trying to say. I think that The Sims 4 High School Years does a really good job at folding in new styles, acknowledging interior design trends, implementing interesting color palettes that didn't exist in the series before. And where the miss is taking all of that and bridging the gap between this pack and everything else that's been released for the past 8 years. You know, the scope of this series, this review series for me, is really just to look at base game and the featured pack, which is High School Years here. But even beyond that, there's just not a lot of packs that I think look good with High School Years. What I will say is that, you know, this is not the pack for me. And if you can't tell, I don't really have a particular affinity for this pack at this point after using it for some time. The styles are just not for me. But that being said, I know that there are a ton of people that love these styles, that love these colors, that love high school gameplay and really wanted to either relive their high school days or they wanted to recreate some of their current experiences. And so I know that there were a lot of people that really were excited for this pack, and it's unfortunate to kind of see where it landed. I feel like at a certain point in development, they had to make a decision. The Sims team had to make a decision and say, are we creating a teen pack or are we creating a high school pack? And rather making that very important decision, they said, we're doing both. And the objects and the gameplay and all of it really kind of show exactly that. You know, when we look at build by, there's an obvious favoritism towards high school objects, which it does not feel like there are enough of, and bedroom objects, which does not equate to an entire house. And when we look at gameplay, there's a lot of gaps and it feels really bland and kind of empty. We can't play as the principal. We can't even use that window, the escape window object, by clicking it. Like, we have to forcibly lock teens in a room or we have to remove a door for them to actually opt to use the window that was like so heavily advertised as being, you know, one of those staple objects of this pack. For the people that were really excited about this, I feel bad. And for those that really just like building or like these particular styles, like, I really love Art Deco interior design and architecture, and it just really fell short in actually being able to bring those styles to life in a meaningful way beyond, you know, 1 or 2 really kind of highly stylized rooms. That being said, let's look at our criteria really quick. You know, from a total object standpoint, this pack has the largest number of objects out of any pack that I've reviewed so far, and there's a pretty even distribution throughout categories, aside from some obvious gaps like no kitchen items, not a lot of living room objects. That being said, where it does really fall short for me is the cohesion aspect. And we're just looking at base game and this pack, but in general, there's really not another pack that I can think of that would pair super well with High School Years. High School Years feels really unique, but also alienated from the entire suite of Sims 4 DLC. And, that's really a shame. That's where I'm at with this pack. I know that this has been a very controversial one in general, not just from a build buy perspective, and what we're talking about today is pretty minimal in terms of some of the other experiences people have had thus far in playing high school years. I'm curious to know what you think now that the pack has been out for some time. We've all had a little bit of a chance to marinate and kind of get a feel for what the pack is really about. I would love to know your thoughts. This build is now available on the Sims 4 gallery if you would like to download it and add it into your game. My name on the gallery is the exact same that it is here, which is just Patrick Creates. And then I also created a couple other builds for the Sims 4 high school years. I created 2 different sort of fantasy schools if you would like to check those out. I will link them at the end of the video. I did a version of Hogwarts High School, and then I also recreated the high school from Buffy the Vampire Slayer if you are a Buffy fan. If you can't tell, I am a fan of the occult myself. If there are any other packs you would like to see as a part of this series, please let me know. Obviously, I got a ton of packs left to go, so if you want to help me prioritize which packs I check out next, that would be very helpful. Leave me a comment. But yeah, I'll link those at the end of the video. And for today, I think that's all I got. So until next time, y'all.